Hey guys, it's Laura. Today we'll be working the quads, hamstrings, and glutes to build strength and improve muscular endurance. All you need is a couple of sets of dumbbells, a mat, and an optional stepper box. You can also do this video with just your body weight for a great travel workout. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I have a mini step. You don't have to have a step. You could even use a stair step if you've got stairs in your house or a stable box, and you can go higher or lower. I'll be showing you versions without the step, just the floor. And I've got a couple of sets of dumbbells, 25s and then 10s. So a heavier and a pair of light. Okay, so let's start with body weight squat. So feet about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. Press those knees out and then sit back and down. Now don't worry if your range of motion isn't that deep at first. Let yourself get warmed up. Couple more. All right, now shift your hips back and give me a hinge. Slight bend in the knees and come back up. Hips go back and then come back up. So we're just working on the hinge. So you should feel the hamstrings a little bit. So you want to make sure you're not initiating movement from your upper back. So shift the hips, keeping the toes in contact. Most of the weight's in your heels. We'll be doing this movement, so we want to make sure we get those muscles warmed up. One more. Okay, now step one leg back. Tuck under, feel that hip flexor, and then shift back, hamstring. So hip flexor, and then shift back into hamstring. Just a couple more. So it's good to do a dynamic stretch if you're going to do stretching at all, not static stretching at the beginning of a workout. We used to do that back in the day. I know, seems so long ago back in the day. Tuck, and then shift back. So feel that hamstring stretch, feel that hip flexor quad stretch. Good, couple more. So a dynamic stretch means moving in and out of the stretch. So just using it to warm up or prime those muscles. All right, bring yourself up. And last thing is a big circle, big circle. Make that as big as you want to, whatever feels good to you right now. Keeping the abs engaged always. You're going to hear me say that about 500 times. So there's no way you can forget. Okay, a couple more. Nice job. Okay, so we're going to get started with a squat tricep. So we're going to do narrow stance, feet inside hip width, regular stance or hip width apart in a goblet, holding the weight, and then sumo or wide squat. We're going to go one after another. So grab a weight that works best for you. So on the narrow stance, I'm going to hold 2 dumbbells. Now you could do all of this with body weight. If you're traveling, you don't have access to weights. You could also use a barbell if you have that, or a kettlebell. So shoulders apart, step your feet inside hip width, okay? Shift your hips back and sit down. So you've got that hip hinge that we did in that quick warm up. So sitting back and coming up. So what you want to avoid is this, okay? Shoulder blades retracted and depressed. Sit back and up. Your range of motion is not going to be as deep with your feet this close together. That's okay. Just do what you can do. And up. Remember, keep those shoulders back. And if you've got tight or weak hips, there's a tendency to compensate with the upper body. But try not to do that. It helps if you work out in front of a mirror. I know some people don't like to, but it's very useful to really learn form. Because sometimes we feel like we're doing something right, and then you see your form and you're like, whoa, that is not what I thought I was doing. Just me? Okay. Okay, couple more. And all right, now I've got the goblet style squat. So I'm gonna grab one heavier weight. Feet are a little bit wider. So we're not in that sumo yet. Don't go too wide. And go. Down. Up. Now, automatically, By stepping a little further apart and opening the knees and toes, you should be able to go a little deeper. Think about pressing out. Engage the hips. When you don't engage the hips and the knees do too much, you're not going to feel it where you should. You have a lot more strength in your hips than you realize. Breathe. You still have those shoulders back and down. Now if this is too much, having the weight up here, you could hold it here or like this, okay? Remember, this is your workout. Do what works for you. Almost there. Now push the floor away. Drive it away. You have about 10 more seconds. And time. Okay, so now I am going to hold it lower. Wider stance, knees and toes. Nice turnout. About 30 degrees, 30, 45 degrees. And go. So your torso is a little more upright, minimizing that forward lean. Now, ideally, you want to be able to get those hips level with the knees at the bottom. And if you're not there, you're not there. Do what you can do. Push the floor away with those heels. Toes are there to help you balance. Don't rush back up. Take your time. You can even pause at the bottom, especially if you have light weights. I'm breathing, talking, squatting. 10 seconds. Are you warmed up? How you doing? And one more. Okay, going back to that goblet. So we're making our way back, almost like a pyramid. So in a little bit, slight turnout, and go. Sit back. Remember, back and down. Not just straight down, but goes back. Breathe. Abs in tight. How do you feel? Now, if you need to rest, of course, just tap pause. Get your rest. It's really not about getting your heart rate out and maxing out heart rate. Remember, not every workout is about calorie burn. I know, I say that and people are like, what? It's not. Strength is about strength. It's not about burning as many calories as possible. That's just a bonus. And time. Okay, narrow stance squats. Then you get a rest. See, I'm nice. I have moments. They're short-lived. Take advantage of them. Okay, feet inside hip width. And go. Sit back. Remember, really shift those hips back. Don't forget the hinge. Abs in, shoulders back and down. That's where you really got to be mindful. Now, see, I did that on purpose. I kind of dropped my shoulders a little bit, but you want to actively squeeze back. And again, driving through the legs back up. Okay, you're almost there. Try to press into both heels evenly. Try not to favor your dominant side. You may not be even aware that you're doing it, but it's very common. I have to be aware of it, or I will definitely do it. 10 seconds. Should be feeling the quads predominantly, and rest. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our lunge sequence. If you have a mini step or a stair step or whatever you have, this is when you'll use it, and some weights. Okay, so I have a mat just to keep my feet from sliding. If you are on a hard surface, a mat might be a good idea. If you're on carpet, it's obviously not that big a deal. And I'm using my mini step. Of course, you can use something higher or lower. What I like about the mini step is it goes as low as 4 inches with just the platform, and then each riser adds an additional 2. So feel free to use one or stair step, like I said, or something stable. You don't have to use anything, especially if you're like in a hotel room or something like that. This just adds to it and gives you more options. Okay, so we're gonna start with a deficit lunge. So you're gonna start with 1 foot on the box, and make sure it's centered. It's not over to the side where it can tip, now that I've worried you, right? So I find this is actually a little bit easier when you're learning the lunge, starting with the foot on the floor. Now make sure you're not in a narrow stance. You want your feet apart, wide base of support, because the lunge is about stability and mobility. So you want your foot far enough back there where you can't just easily put that down. You need to come up a little bit, so that's going to allow your knee to bend. So you want to judge that by coming down and going back up. So you want to try to take advantage of that deficit by getting all the way to the floor if you can. Now, if this is too much, of course, do the floor version, right? Smaller range of motion. You can hang on to something, like using a chair or something like that. Make sure you're going straight down. Most common thing I see is going forward into the lunge or being too narrow, and then you have nowhere to go but forward. That's going to put a lot of pressure on that knee. So wide, and then down and up. Okay? And I am timing this, so go. You'll see the timer up there, so you'll know to start. And down and up. Straight down. Now, you also have another option, which is the split squat. So my back foot, keep going, my back foot would be on the step, foot's on the floor, and I'm bending and raising, okay? That's gonna be more challenging, requires more stability, but it's great. Great lower body exercise. Okay, you're almost there. What I like about this version, you can really get that quad full of range of motion, and if you drive into that heel, get a lot of glute too. And time. Okay, switch sides. So pick the version that you like best, okay? And go down, up. Now, of course, if you don't have any kind of ledge or anything, just do the stationary squat. I recommend with a stationary lunge before you start progressing to like traveling lunges, like reverse lunges, forward lunges, walking lunges, until you feel good with your form. Now push away with that heel. So I'm trying to get that knee as close to the floor as I can. And of course I have something soft there, so I'm not banging my knee on the floor. Really good for the quads. It also gets the glutes if you really think about driving into the heel. That's why I say it so often. Okay, how are you feeling? Now, I'm not giving you a long rest between exercises. I'm trying to keep this workout short. So if you wanted to, you could add this to another workout. I would recommend, if your goal is to increase your strength, to do strength training before cardio. Really depends on your goals. Woo, see, it helps if you look forward and down, you're gonna be less wobbly. That's why I'm not looking at you. Time. I felt that. Okay, so now we have a lateral lunge. And we're gonna do both sides. I'm gonna hold the one weight, wide stance. So I'm gonna move this out of my way, weight high, and of course you can hold it lower. Now, my toes are only slightly turned out. Not a lot, and not totally straight to the front. Slight turnout, pretty wide stance. And I Keep hitting the mic, sorry. And then shift back and up. Over and back and up. So sit back, up. Of course, you can do this body weight. You like that? You're like, I slammed on the ground. Sit back. So I'm going to show you side view, because this is what I see people do. They go out into the knee, but really think of it as sitting back. And see how my knee isn't jutting forward. My heel stays on the ground, pressing into those heels, right? Remember, you got that slight turnout. Back and up. Now, you have a natural lean with the torso, but don't add to it. One leg is straight, one leg is bent. You should have enough space there between the feet where you feel that stretch in the straight leg. Are you good? I hope so. Really get down there. Start with a lighter weight. Work on getting deeper rather than using a heavier weight and doing smaller range of motion. One more. All right, so I'm gonna go lighter. You could do body weight. Curtsies. If you're not comfortable with curtsies, this is timed, so don't worry about going any particular speed. That's why I'm not going on the beat of the music, even though I like going on the beat of the music, but I don't want you to feel like you have to hurry through the movement. So my stationary leg, I'm gonna keep the knee and the toe on the same angle. I drive up, and then I switch sides. I should not be able to lift this heel until I'm switching feet. Now, for some reason this doesn't agree with you, you could go back to regular lunges or stick with the lateral lunge. I'm working toward getting that back knee to the floor. Again, this knee and toe need to match. Now I have a pretty light weight in my hands, but I've only got 10s. And that's all relative, right? It's all relative. You might be thinking, I wish I could hold 3s in my hands. Body weight is hard for you. That's where you are. Some people can do a lot of weight on this, and that's where they are. So don't compare yourself to others. It doesn't help you in any way. Okay, it's all about you and what you can do right now and what you're working toward. Okay, almost there. And time. Okay, so we're back to that lateral lunge. We're moving our way back up. So I'm gonna hold that weight up. Remember, you could hold it lower or do 2 weights, slight turnout with the toes, and go over. And then shift back. My heels stay grounded into the floor. Hinging at the hip. Now your abs need to be tight on this. How are you feeling? I hope your legs are a little toasty. Remember, if you're feeling like heart rate is getting in the way, pause this. Let your heart rate come down. It's more important to get that full range of motion at a challenging weight than have your heart rate high. That's not what this is about. That would be a circuit workout, right? Almost there. And time. Okay, so I'm gonna do the stationary lunge. Actually, I'll do reverse lunges. You could use the deficit, the Bulgarian split squat, or whatever version of a lunge you like. All right, and go. Step back. Remember, driving into that front heel to come back up. Shoulders stay back. More upright with your lunge. more vertical, a little more quadricep on the front leg, a little bit more of that hinge, a little more glute on the front leg. Either one is good. So if you know this about yourself, that you tend to be very quad dominant, I would definitely recommend balancing it with more of the glute-centric versions. Leaning, so you get a little more stretch in that glute muscle. 10 more seconds. Then we're moving on. Make sure that knee isn't caving in on that front knee. And time. I was looking before I started the next one. Okay, moving on to the next segment. Get a drink of water, meet me back here. Okay, so I've raised my step height. I now have an 8-inch platform. You can use a weight bench or, like I said, a stair step, something that raises your feet, or nothing at all. You could even use like a chair. Again, like if you're in a hotel room, you could use a chair in the hotel. I would do it without your shoes on so you don't get it all gross. See? Helpful tips. Okay, so I'm a big fan of glute bridges. They're great not only for the glutes, but just keeping the low back strong. They work the quads and they work the hamstrings. So I'm going to put my feet on the platform. And if you have a heavier weight, people have asked me this before, what I recommend is lifting the weight, turning, and then rolling over so you can get that weight on more easily. Okay, so I'm going to scoot in and make sure it's centered so it doesn't go flipping over. You don't want your feet on the end. All right, so I'm going to roll that weight so it's more at the top of my thigh. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze up, curling my hips under, and then coming down, just tapping. So curling under. Here's what most people do. Not most people, but I see it. So look at my back. Watch my back. I come all the way up. Okay? All the way up. Or they come to here. They don't come up high enough. Okay, so you want to think about curling the hips under, but keeping the rib cage on the floor. So pelvic tilt. Squeeze the glutes tight. So think about curling under. Okay? So you don't have to add weight to this if you don't want to. Just remember, it's all relative, so even if you're doing a higher rep, you still want to go to the point where it's the last couple of reps are very challenging for you. Okay, so if you're a fan of lighter weight and higher reps, you're not going just counting 20, 30 reps. The last 2 reps should be like, I don't think I can do another rep without losing my form. Whether you're going to 5 reps or 30 reps, you're going to technical failure. Technical failure means exactly what I just said. You're going to the point where if you do 1 or 2 more reps, you're gonna lose your form. And time. Okay, so I'm gonna roll over, put that weight down, and we're gonna go hands and knees. I'm gonna put my hands on the step. You could do that if you like. So you could be elevated. I'm gonna lift this support leg. Now that gets a little more core involved. If that's too much, definitely put your knee on the floor. You could be hands and knees. Kick back, bring that knee in. Out, in, out, in. Now you're gonna find this much harder having this back knee up. You got a lot of core stability going on, right? Not a bad thing, just more challenging. Do it if you're ready for that. Bring the knee in, go out. So we're not so much worried about going high. Okay, we're just thinking of going out and back. Almost there. Abs engaged. So pause right there. Knee in so you get that stretch. And rest. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. That's kind of total body. I'm good with that. Okay, so switch sides. And go. Back. In. Get that stretch.
Remember, you could be here. Okay, you could be here. You're still bringing that knee in, trying to get that fuller range of motion for the glute. This is very much a core exercise as well. Try to keep those hips parallel to the floor, stable. Almost there. And time. Going back to the glute bridge. We're gonna end with that. Call it a day. So I roll to one side, turn, and go. Curl under. So I'm holding that weight so it's not on my hip bones or my belly. It's right at the top of my thigh. Curl under. Squeezing the glutes. Driving down into the heels. You could also do this laying on the step with just your upper back. I would recommend covering it with a towel or mat, and then doing kind of like the deficit version of that lunge, which I'll show you here if you want to do that. Try to drive evenly into both heels. Keep it centered. For so long, and there are so many people that still believe this, that women should be doing lightweight, high reps so they don't get bulky. Now, it used to bother me a lot, but I've been doing this for 25 years, so I understand. I do. But no, especially if you're in your 40s or above, you really should be working on maintaining or gaining as much lean mass as you can, because we are losing it every year. If you don't, it's a use it or lose it. Okay, you don't want to lose your muscle mass. And up. And I'm not talking big bulky muscles. I'm talking about overall functional strength so that you can, function properly and safely in life. Okay, so time to stretch. Now I'll stand just in case you don't have a platform to sit on. I'm a fan of sitting. Okay, so foot on, shift your hips back, little hamstring. That bridge gets a little bit of hamstring because your leg is in that bent position as you lift. Hamstring is responsible for curling of the leg and then hip extension. So you want to get both, of course. Switch sides. Now you can hold these stretches longer. You're going to benefit more in your flexibility if you hold stretches longer than like 10, 15 seconds. We're just doing this to release the muscles a little bit and bring it in. I know there's always debate going on shift to one side. Feel that stretch on if it's even worth it to do static stretching, if it's necessary. I think if it feels good to you, do it. If you enjoy it, if it helps you, go the other way. But still don't do it at the beginning. Know that does affect your strength. And then slide your foot in, and then round your spine, a lot of low back. So how did you do? I hope you did well. I hope you feel good. Bring yourself up. Let me know if you enjoyed the workout, if you'd like to see what kind of workouts you'd like to see in the future. I'd love to hear from you. All right, I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.